Welcome to the next episode of the Dark Web Deacon. So let's check our secure connections, adjust our hoodies, and as always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For today's episode, we're going to talk about the 7 deadly sins companies make when they're hit by ransomware. And yes, I'm talking about those 7 deadly sins: pride, sloth, greed, envy, gluttony, wrath, and lust. So we're going to have a little fun today, because generally topics on ransomware can be a little boring and tedious at times. So we're going to mix it up and see if we can tie these old world 7 Christian 7 deadly sins that were refined by people like Evagrius the Solitary, John the Ascetic, and much of Dante's writing and artwork, as we describe these sins that most companies make when they're hit with ransomware. First up is pride. Well, the sin companies make often is they don't have proper data backups and processes. They're very prideful in thinking, this could never happen to me. This is a mistake even if you're not hit by ransomware, since there are many ways a system can be damaged and you need proper backup and processes in place to recover data. Organizations big or small should back up their data and understand and exercise their backup recovery processes periodically, since trying to figure out your recovery process during a ransomware attack just increases the pressure. Because always remember, pride comes before the fall. Next is sloth. And the sin companies perform is failing to contain the malware. Many organizations start focusing on how to recoup the encrypted data before taking the essential step of ensuring the malware does not spread further. With this sin, not making sure you have completely eradicated the original attack vector and getting to the root cause of how it started, and confirming that it has not affected other multiple systems, well, is just lazy and slothful. Contain, then eradicate, then restore. Now let's look at greed. And the sin companies perform is waiting too long to call their insurer. Getting your insurance company involved at the start should be one of the first calls you make. If you have cyber insurance and don't call within the timeline in your contract, you may not be eligible to receive compensation. Your insurance provider probably has a preference for who will handle the incident and how it will be handled. Next up is envy. And the sin companies are guilty of is leaving out law enforcement. Maybe you're envious of their capabilities in this space, but after you call your insurance provider, your next call should be to the authorities. In addition to bringing in a dedicated incident response provider, organizations should enlist the help of law enforcement in the local FBI office. Investigators have access to decryption tools, necessary cryptocurrency to facilitate payment, and other techniques and resources to recover your encrypted information. So don't be envious of these capabilities, leverage them. And now on to gluttony. How does this deadly sin relate to companies and ransomware? Well, making missteps on negotiation. If you are guilty of sin number 4 and don't call authorities, it can definitely lead to sin number 5. Consuming too much information or trying to negotiate too aggressively with the would-be hacker. Whether or not to pay or even negotiate the cost of the ransom is another controversial point. However, if an organization decides to pay, then they should consider negotiating the price, but do not get too gluttonous, because the hacker may go in for more. The next deadly sin we're going to discuss, and one of my personal favorites, is wrath. Obviously, fear and panic are normal emotions at the start of a ransomware attack, but this can quickly lead to feelings of anger. While it is of course going to be a stressful time dealing with a ransomware attack, the sin of wrath in giving into fear and panic when organizations respond to ransomware attack is just giving in to emotion instead of sticking to your planned incident response when an event occurs. Following the prepared incident response to get back to business operations as soon as possible is paramount when dealing with a ransomware attack. And last but not least is lust. And the mistake that often companies make during a ransomware attack is going in alone or having too much self-love. While some organizations may be equipped to deal with attacks independently, even the largest companies seek the expertise of third parties. Ernesto Zalvadar, a computer science professor at Brown University and deputy director of Brown's Cybersecurity Master's Program, says ransomware attacks require specialized assistance, especially to prevent future attacks. Remediation of your system and increased defenses are part of overcoming ransomware attacks long term. Hopefully you found this list entertaining and informative. And remember to keep in mind these 7 deadly sins if your company is ever hit with a ransomware attack. Because the sins of pride, sloth, greed, envy, gluttony, wrath, and lust can definitely derail your capabilities and the speed at which you could potentially successfully recover from a ransomware attack. Check out the Dark Web Deacon merch store. We have high-quality t-shirts, accessories, and signature hoodies, of course, and become a true dark web enthusiast and VIP. New videos are published every Monday and Thursday.